So I'm just gonna get right into it. I I grew up around drugs. From as early as I can remember. There were family members who I'm not gonna name who were either high, had drugs around me from a very early age. Like I said, from as early as I can remember. And I had two different households that I spent time in as a kid. So, and both households had drugs in it. And so it's something that I grew up around. And I want to say when I was about 11 or 12, I can't really remember which one, I was prescribed Adderall. And I wasn't really aware of the high it had on my body or my mind until I was about 14. And once I realized the type of high it was giving me, I started abusing it. I'd start taking about 3 or 4 times my recommended dose, and I just continued doing that all the way up until I was 16, which is when I realized I had a problem with abusing my Adderall. And I asked to be taken off of it. I asked my doctor at the time to unprescribe me it. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but anyway, asked him to stop prescribing me Adderall, and after that, I just started buying it. I just started finding it wherever I could get it. And I put the use of that drug ahead of the welfare of my friendships, my relationship at the time, spending time with my family. I stole money from my mother in order to get it, and continued that cycle up until I was 17, which is when I was introduced to meth. And I was introduced to it by a family member who shall remain nameless. And yeah, off to the races from there. I was 17 when I started doing it. I became hooked like that because it was cheaper and easier to get than Adderall was. And started using it heavy from the jump anytime I could get it. I found out a lot of people in my hometown were using it, and it became just ridiculously easy to get. And I became very cold. I became a very cold person when I was on it. I didn't really care about anyone or anything, or even myself for that matter, whenever I was on that drug. I just became a very cold and distant person. And I became very narcissistic when I was using. And when I was 18, I found out my grandma had cancer. And I can't really put into words how much I loved my grandma. And I continued getting high, and I continued putting that high. I continued prioritizing getting high over spending time with my grandma. That's how powerful my addiction to this drug was. I wanted to keep getting high instead of spending time with my dying grandma. Shortly after I found out she had cancer. The girl who I was in a relationship with at the time broke up with me, and that just made it so much worse. And I started using heavier to block out the pain of that. And that's really what me using was all about, was just blocking out the pain of the reality that was in front of me. And I think that's kind of the story for a lot of us addicts. And I just continued getting high more and more. I'd go and see my grandma every once in a while. Whenever my family pressured me to, whenever my mother pressured me to, or yeah, that's really it. And this is so hard to talk about. This is so hard to admit, but I heavily favored the drugs over going and seeing my grandmother. She passed away roughly 9 months to a year after we found out that she had cancer. I found out she had cancer on my 18th birthday. She passed away. No, she passed away about June. My birthday is January 18th, so yeah, she passed away about 5 or 6 months actually after. And yeah, I only saw her a handful of times while she was dying. Yeah, that's just the story with a lot of us, man. We heavily prioritize getting high over seeing our families or seeing our loved ones. And that's there's a lot there's a lot of heartache that goes into being honest about these things, because it's not easy to admit how big of a fuck up we were in the midst of our addiction. But at some point it has to be done, because until we're honest with ourselves, none of our problems can truly be fixed. Anyway, so shortly thereafter, something happened. I think my mom caught me in like a really big lie. I don't really remember, but after that is when, after she caught me in whatever lie it was in, I realized, all right, something's got to change. I got to go to rehab. So I did. When I was 19 years old, I checked into the Harbor House in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Checked into treatment for the first time. And that's when my rehab cycle began. Stayed clean for a little bit, stayed clean for like 45 days, got out, went back out. Well, I got kicked out of Harbor House actually. Went back out, got high, went right back to Harbor House, stayed clean for about 4 months. Got a wild hair up my ass, stopped working the program, stopped working on my recovery, and immediately just started getting high again. And I kind of stayed off the rails for a little while. And fast forward to now, it's just a constant cycle of me getting high, staying sober, short stints of sobriety, like 30-day stints of sobriety. And up until now, fast forward to now, I have 86 days clean under my belt. I've made an honest working effort toward working the program. I have a place to stay. My rent is always paid. I have food in my fridge. I have a beautiful girlfriend who loves me and supports me. And I've regained trust from my loved ones. And that just comes with, those are just the fruits you reap of a clean, honest, sober, functional life. And I still have things I'm trying to work on. I'm still working on getting my license back and all that. But life has gotten so much better. So much better. I can't even put in the words how much, just how much things have gotten better. It's really amazing. And I'm here to let you know that things can get better. And if you're someone who's stuck in the cycle of addiction, if you feel like you just can't stop getting high, or if you feel like you're just doomed to be addicted to XYZ drug that you're on, I'm going to encourage you to do one of three things. Go to a meeting, check into treatment if you're able to do that, or reach out to a friend who you can trust. Go to a meeting, check into treatment, talk to someone, because you're not alone in this. There's plenty of people with a story just like yours. You'd be surprised how many people have the exact same story as yours. Whether or not you could relate to my story, there's someone out there with a story that you can relate to. And I'm going to be talking with a bunch of people who perhaps have a story that you can relate to, and I'm excited to bring you the content, and I'm excited to bring you that content. And looks like we're at about 12 and a half minutes. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up, guys. I appreciate you I appreciate you watching if you did happen to watch this video. And hopefully I said something that maybe helped you a little bit. I don't know. Appreciate it. Bye.